What does good care actually feel like when you're the adult child trying to hold it all together and your parent is changing right in front of you? Not the perfect checklist kind of care, the kind that brings peace of mind, protects dignity, and still makes room for a real moment of joy even on the hard days. My guest today is Saudia Gajadhar, Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Comfort Keepers, and one of my favorite titles ever, their Chief Happiness Officer. Saudia has spent years building brands across healthcare and consumer worlds, but what makes this conversation so meaningful is that she is also living this. She recently moved to Florida to help care for her parents, including her 90-year-old father who has dementia. She is in that two worlds at once space that so many of us know, and in our conversation, we talk all about how Comfort Keepers has spent 25 years elevating the human spirit through in-home care, what families truly want beyond the logistics, why home is more than an address, and how a daily dose of joy can change the entire experience for an older adult and the caregiver. We also get real about long distance caregiving, the role of technology, caregiver workforce challenges, and seeing someone as the whole person, stories, preferences, and the rituals that make them them. This is my episode with Saudia. I am excited to welcome with me today, Saudia. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to our conversation and just learning from you, hearing your experience. I know it bridges together that personal side and also professional. So, welcome. Thank you.
Oh, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
My pleasure. I would love for you to share with us what brought you into this work and how you decided to make care such a big part of your life.
I am the Vice President of Marketing for Comfort Keepers and also the Chief Happiness Officer. I have been part of Comfort Keepers now for, I guess, about 8 years. And I just found it very appealing because I think the whole concept of care and aging for older adults is just such a profound thing that every single person tends to experience. And I have been an adult daughter of aging parents myself. And so I found that the whole position really resonated with me. And then the concept of and the opportunity of being able to positively impact aging for any as many people as that we can. I just can pass that up.
It's so amazing when our work is personal. Okay, Chief Happiness Officer, tell us more about that title. I love that so much.
You know what? Our brand is of Comfort Keepers. It's all about elevating the human spirit. And I just say that because that's because we feel that it doesn't matter who you are as an aging adult, you have the ability to experience joy. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how old you are, what your level of acuity is, if even if you have full-blown Alzheimer's, you still have
Mhm.
memories to make, joy to give others, and joy to experience. And so that is the key tenet of how we try to operate. And, there's a physical aspect to well-being that can help people thrive at any age and actually do better. There was a correlation between falls and depression, for example.
Mm,
So when you are actually able to improve somebody's well-being and and more positivity and joy, they actually will do better physically, which to us is
mm.
amazing. And so the whole concept of chief happiness officer is what are the things that we can do to help promote that, help operationalize that, and work with our clients, families, and our all the offices across the country to that end.
Tell me how many offices you have. How big of scope and reach do you have?
We are nationwide. We've been around, Company Keepers has been around for over 25 years, and we have, gosh, like 600 plus territories
Wow.
across the United States, and we're out in almost every single state, I think
Mm.
47 states.
Mm.
So it's great that we feel like we actually serve hundreds of thousands of clients probably over our lifetime. And every single
Wow.
year it's probably, it's tens and tens of thousands of aging adults that we're serving every year.
Growing. It's growing so much. The fact that your organization has a focus and intentionality with the happiness side, right? Just even having chief happiness officer really speaks to how much they care about what people experience working with you. That is a huge and amazing ability to offer that.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm experiencing it myself because I
Mhm.
had mentioned that I have aging parents. So I actually I was living in California for many years and I just moved to Florida 2 months ago. And I moved here because my parents need help. So my parents are still both around. I'm very, very lucky, and I know that. My dad is 90. He has dementia, and it's just really tough for my mom to be able to manage that, of course. And so we wanted to make sure that there was somebody around that could help them. So I came down to help them. So I'm kind of my own target audience. So, we do a
You
lot of
really are.
analysis on what the core person that who's helping their parents making those decisions. And it's typically the adult daughter. And
Mhm.
that's me,
Mhm.
and so trying to just really experiencing it all firsthand, what it's like to be a caregiver part of the time, as well as a client,
Mhm.
as well as working in marketing at the same time. It's pretty wild. So my father actually has a Comfort Keepers caregiver. So
Ah,
I see firsthand the relief and the peace of mind that it
yeah.
gives me, and how, his face just brightens when the
Mhm.
caregiver comes in, and how much they care,
Mhm.
and do the things that help him keep him safe, but also give him a little bit of happiness and
Mhm.
socialization and all of
Mhm.
that. So it's really tough to watch your parents decline.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we always say, it's like you don't realize the resources and help that you need until you're in it yourself. So, working in caregiving, I spend a lot of time thinking about, what are the things that we can do to help the life for our families easier.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
now that I'm in it, it's like, oh my gosh, all the little things that I didn't even realize that people need, that just gives us such an insight and the ability to provide better care, whether it's technology or services.
Is there anything specifically that stood out? Because now you're family caregiver role, you're a leader, how we experience care that you've learned from now having your foot in both worlds?
For sure, an insight that we use a lot, which is that when you're an adult child, you just want to be that adult child. You want to be a daughter
Mhm.
versus being a caregiver. And you are kind of just forced to actually be a caregiver as well as a daughter. My dad can't swallow normally, so we have to make sure that he eats like liquefied foods, and I actually literally feed him. I never
Mhm.
thought I would be in a position of having to do that. So really understanding that perspective and trying to figure out how to promote that is important. So for us, physical safety is the base. So I
Mhm.
see this as an adult daughter, as well as what we try to do in home care. That's usually why people call us. They need that peace of mind. They need to make sure that their loved one doesn't fall, that they stay safe and independent in their home, because home is where they want to be.
Mhm.
There's so many benefits to being home. And my dad, he's had injuries, so he's had to spend, let's say, a month in physical rehab. He declined so profoundly, we thought it was the end. But it's really
Mhm.
sometimes just not being in that comfortable space, that with all the familiarity that um, those are some of the things that I see. I think a lot of the decisions are just really reinforced, and also makes me realize, like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know, let's say, what a gate belt was or why I needed it, and how
Mhm.
important it was to my dad to have the safety he needed to go to transfer one place to the other, for example.
Mhm.
So I would say
Mhm.
it's some of those things.
And when you hear and you talk with people that you work with, and now I'm sure your community of friends, family, when you think about what families really, really want at home beyond the logistics of that, what are you seeing? What comes to mind first? What are those needs?
It's very interesting because we recently just did a lot of research in terms of what families really want at home. And they want to live the same life they've always lived. Adult children, they just want peace of mind. They just want their parent to be the same parent they've always had. That's just not the case. So what are the things that you can give them that make them realize that their parents can still live the same life they've always had? They want
Mhm.
independence, they want safety, right? And that's really it, I would say. So what does that look like? It looks like, gosh, do I need to put a camera in the home to give me that peace of mind? How's my
Mhm.
mom going to handle that? How do I make sure that my mom has the same, or my dad has the same nutrition that they always have? That they are actually enjoying the things that they do. They're not just sitting in a corner in the dark, depressed. So I'd say they want the same life they've always had. And
Mhm.
that's really it.
Yeah, absolutely. You had brought up a camera. Are you seeing that families are using some technology, or what are you experiencing? I know as an organization, right, as we're moving into using that to support people. Where is Comfort Keepers with that?
So we are right in the fray, just like a lot of the other companies. So one of the things that we have done recently is just do a lot of research to understand better what families are looking for, what's out there, what we're doing, et cetera. So we find that actually a lot of families come to us already with, let's say, monitoring or even just like fall detection, right? It's sort of like the price of entry in a way. So by the time they come to us, like, okay, well, that's really not cutting it anymore. Now I actually need my parent to have more care.
Mhm.
So sometimes the parent's not ready. So the daughter might suggest, let's do something like maybe some remote monitoring or sensors or things like that to help us keep safety in the home. What
Mhm.
we find a lot of the times, if the mom is not ready to have care, she's probably not ready to have a camera in the home. And that
Mhm.
certainly was the case in our family. But things change over time, and I think the higher acuity level that the family member has, the more they start realizing that they probably need things to have at least some sort of detection or socialization. So when you talk about something like a camera, you don't talk about it being a camera, you talk about the problem you're trying
Right.
to solve. Mom,
Absolutely.
you want to stay at home, you want to stay safe, you don't want to go to a facility. That's important to you. So what are the things that we can do together to help make sure that that's able to happen? And
Mhm.
knowing that you will still have the privacy and et cetera that you need, and the
Mhm.
camera is just here for this purpose, or the sensor is just here for this purpose to help keep you where you want to be. Can we have that conversation?
Yeah.
And then that tends to be something that can actually open the door to have maybe the things that are going to provide that monitoring to provide more of that peace of mind. So
Mhm.
yeah, there are things like cameras in the home. We're working with companies that actually can provide more socialization, interaction, sort of notice if, let's say, through things like radar, that maybe a fall has happened, or there's sensors so that you can see whether or not if somebody has like gone out of bed in the middle of the night way more than they did before, maybe
Mhm.
UTI is developing, and that in itself can lead to more serious health consequences as
Mhm.
adults age. One of the things that people find the most important are actually helping with medication. So having dispensers and medication reminders and things like that are super important. Another one I would say is like remote door locking. That seems like something you'd never think of. But sometimes, we work with clients who may not be, they don't have enough mobility to come answer the door when the caregiver comes. So
Yeah.
having a system that a caregiver can have a unique code that goes to her, that can help unlock that door when the shift starts, and some things like that are so much more basic and important things that are
Mhm.
technology based that you'd ever realize. And the
Mhm.
key is, how do you have that happen with the senior in the home, knowing that they are probably not technical enough to be able to help you? So how
Yeah.
can we provide the support through us or third parties that can do that?
Right, right. And you stated that so beautifully. It really is about solving those problems that we're experiencing and building a system of support, offering tools to aid in the connection, right? Not looking at it as that it's hindering that, but the value of maintaining the dignity and the independence, I think, is uh, what people are striving for. Are you noticing that there is an acceptance to that? Are you finding our families overwhelmed by these tools, or as an organization, right, making that seamless for them to understand the why, right? The why behind it?
Yeah, I mean, again, we are trying to solve whatever the client need is. So we're
Hmm.
never going to go in and recommend technology or try to get somebody to use technology if there's not a specific need. If you notice that you have this problem and we can figure out how to help solve it using technology that we have or that we can recommend, that's really what it's all about. And so the adult children, lots of times they're living across the country. They're not even there in the same market, right? So
Hmm.
things like technology, if somebody else can help put it and manage it for them, actually provides a lot more peace of mind and relief to them. So yeah, I don't really feel like there's a lot of barriers. It's just a matter of how you gain the acceptance
Hmm.
of the adult in need, the senior adult in need, more than anything.
Yes, yes. For defining home in home care, there's, I think, an overall understanding that it is in our home, like our primary home. But we know that there can be support in a lot of different ways. Share with us, how do you define home when we're, I like to say, thriving in place? And what are all those different ways that people can be supported that they might not necessarily think of first?
Home is wherever you are living, right? That could be the four walls where you raised your family or where you ended up going in order to keep you safe. Because we actually understand that there's a certain point where many people will end up in a facility because, in an assisted living facility, something like that, where it's going to be the place that's going to keep them safe. But if they feel like they have some connection, socialization, and a positive emotional experience there, they can thrive and do just as well. So
Mhm.
it's a matter of how you help provide the support, how you make them feel about being there and bringing the things that are going to make them feel comfortable and connected, whether it's
Right.
technology or other human beings.
Yeah. I know, and I have seen there be such success when someone has lived in a community and they have certain services provided, but they need that extra level of care and support and the ability to make this collaborative team with having home care be a part of that. And it's been a great way to maintain the living environment that the person chooses, right? And the family feels
Yes.
supported. So good. When you look at your care team and the people that are supporting the organization, what have you found to be really successful to have these great relationships between the caregiver that comes in through home care and then the person that they support? Having that dynamic, right? I mean, that's what I've noticed is when you build that foundation of trust, the care given, the care received, the relationship that's growing to have that be successful over time. How would you articulate that so that as families have people come in, they're able to help encourage those dynamics as well?
We call it the daily dose of joy, right? If you
Mhm.
can, we know that our caregivers, they work with their clients because they actually have a mission of caring for others.
Mhm.
And so we feel like we're the organization that helps do that the best because of our philosophy around positivity, right? So
Mhm.
when we allow the caregiver to do all the things that they can do to help the senior feel better about their living situation, then the caregiver is going to feel better about working with us and staying with us, and then they build those relationships.
Mhm.
So when we talk about that whole daily dose of joy, so we tell the caregiver, you observe together and we will help you. What are the things that the client knows? What are the things they care about? What are their hobbies? What color do they like? Where did they grow up? Are they a history buff? Did they used to bake? Were they some prize winning like crocheter? And
Mhm.
then you can help deliver those things every single time you visit.
Mhm.
They love eggs Benedict. So maybe someday you're going to cook them eggs Benedict. That's going to be the thing that's going to make them wait by the window for that caregiver. It's going to bring that caregiver joy for delivering that to the client. Whether it's like maybe they're going to be, they used to love to read, but they can't read anymore. So read together, read out loud.
Mhm.
They love pets, but they can't have one. Maybe take
Mhm.
them to the SPCA or there's visits. So you enable and empower that caregiver to do the things that makes their client feel like a whole person, not just somebody that's sitting in a chair declining. And
Mhm.
that is the key, I think, to that positivity and then making
Mhm.
those clients feel great about the caregivers and makes caregivers feel great about the relationships that they're building. I see that in my own home.
Mhm.
My dad has this caregiver, Lorna, and she loves my dad. I mean, she just loves him and she takes care of him. He's got the biggest smile. He asks all the time, when's Lorna coming back? When's Lorna coming back? And it's
Mhm.
because she sees my dad as a whole person with memories
Mhm.
and things that he used to do. And she tries to bring some of those things out of him,
Right.
asks questions, they look at photos, and that just makes
Mhm.
him feel better about himself. And then he really can't wait until the next time she
Mhm.
comes.
That's so beautiful and so true and important. I remember my grandma, she was cared for by a team of caregivers, and there were so many people that came to her funeral that were on her care team. And it was so
Oh,
beautiful to see that love and attention to being a part of our family in a way. And they knew her and they cared for her. And just that was really cool to see as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
I have this one story that I just was going to share, and it's about
Mm,
that, what the caregiver can do, and
mm,
just what that little daily dose of joy or can do. So when we were onboarding, we were, doing a care consultation with a client, and we found out that the client liked to crochet. And the caregiver, we and the client care coordinator remembered she had recently onboarded a caregiver who also crocheted. So
mm,
she was able to match them. So fast forward, I want to say a few months, and the daughter calls the client care coordinator crying. And she's like, "Oh no, what's going on?" She's like, "You don't understand. I called my mom." She's like, "I can't talk now because I'm putting on lipstick because the caregiver and I are going to the craft store because we
mm,
are, buying yarn because we are crocheting lap blankets for the old folks home down the street."
amazing.
And she was so happy for a number of reasons. Number one, her mother was depressed and hadn't put
Yeah.
on lipstick in actually 11 years since her
Wow.
husband had passed.
Wow.
And so what this caregiver did is she reminded this person that she
Mhm,
still had something to give to somebody else,
mhm,
right? And they crocheted together. And this woman, by the way, she was a senior herself. So talking
mhm,
about like the old folks home down the street was just precious
mhm,
because it
mhm,
showed her that she had something to give to somebody else. And it actually brought her out of her depression. So
mhm,
that is what I'm talking about. The
mhm,
effect of positivity and reminding and possibility
mhm.
can change you.
It can. Yes. I always like to think that it is that hope of something to look forward to
Yes.
also, right? We all need that. And that's a beautiful reminder of that. And families are such an integral part of that. I mean, just the fact that that daughter called and shared like how meaningful that was. And I believe that partnership is so vital. And so for you guys, how do you encourage and what do you share with your caregivers to really support and partner with those families so they do feel less alone in that process, right?
Yeah. So one of the things that we have a family portal. So we
Mm,
encourage caregivers to put notes into the family portal, even things like photos. So you can show, number one, yes, I as an adult daughter can go in there and I have peace of mind that you completed the tasks that we had agree on, right? But in
mhm,
addition to that, putting a note in there, it's like, your dad was feeling great today, and you have experiences where I've seen where somebody like I transferred the mom to the art room, and we actually painted together. It's like, wow, it's like you've really shown me with a photo and a description what's actually
mm,
happening in the home.
mm,
And
mhm.
that feels like partnership because then the caregiver feels great about what she's doing. They get positive reinforcement from the
Yeah,
family and from the office on the terms of the tasks that she's actually outlining and showing photos of. And then I, as a daughter, I'm not maybe calling the office because I'm like, I don't understand what's happening
right.
with my mom. I get this experience even with
Mhm,
my doggy daycare or my children. And why am I not
mhm,
getting that with home care? But with this something like
mhm,
Family Portal, it is so much more of a partnership. You feel like you're just really sharing the knowledge all the way around. So it's like a
mm.
win-win.
It is. It is. And when we know and have information, then we're not left guessing or filling in the blanks with something that's not true, right? We can have peace of that. Yes, with family caregivers, are they able to also seek resource and information from comfort keepers on something ancillary, or where would I go to for financial support or how to help transfer my dad? Is that a part of the collaboration as well?
Many offices will work directly because every single office has worked with thousands of clients over time, probably,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Hundreds at least. And so, yes, we've seen it all. And, we always like to reassure families, hey, we can help you, or we can point you to the right resources in the community. Because at the end of the day, every single one of our offices is owned by a franchise owner who is very involved in their community. So we are all very locally owned, locally operated businesses with deep roots in the community. So it's really important that we share resources wherever possible, whether it's, you know, anything from how do you get grab bars installed, or
Mhm.
where do you buy a gate belt, or how do I help deal with the fact that my dad has these nutritional needs that might need more expert support, or financial advice, things that we don't know or don't do. We can help point people in the right direction, because we have to be an expert in what's happening with that senior loved one in their home, no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our core expertise is home care and all the pieces
Mhm.
that provide. But again, we see those aging adults as whole people that have
Mhm.
a whole array of needs and wants,
Mhm.
and we try to help figure out how to make that happen for them.
Yeah, completely. And home care has evolved, right? In the past, gosh, how many years? I see this momentum, more of a public narrative around all of the ways we can be supported as we've aged. What have you seen has changed the most? What do you feel still needs changing? Or what are your hopes for what home care can evolve and grow into? And are we there?
People are talking technology and they're talking AI all the time. There's
Mhm.
absolutely a role for AI, because it just helps you tap into the shared knowledge, right? In terms
Mhm.
of how to have the right conversations or find the right resources and support. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, it's a business of people,
Mhm.
human beings needing connection, socialization, and positivity. They need to be
Mhm.
kept safe and independent of their homes. So that has not changed. And that
Mhm.
will never change. And that has to be the core thing that everybody remembers. You can go in all these directions in technology, and there's so many things that are out there that are going to make lives better, that you can tap in and understand and predict when somebody's going to have that UTI, or when, maybe their Alzheimer's will, become unmanageable, whatever the future may bring. But at the end of
Mhm.
the day, it's not that difficult. It's
Yeah.
positivity and possibility. And the thing I would like to change, if anything, is for people not to approach aging with dread,
Mm.
and to people sometimes choose not to see people that are aging in the community. They just become invisible. But I would really like for people to remember that elderly starts with the word elder, which really is a sign of wisdom in many cultures, right? And so
Mhm.
for us to appreciate what it is that our aging loved ones and those in the community have to bring and have to give us, no matter how changed the environment has become over the past 50 years, 100 years, um, and for us to recognize, embrace, and
Mhm.
celebrate that.
There are challenges also with providing consistent care in in some circumstances, and having the retention. I remember my grandma would really get thrown off her schedule if someone new came in and she felt like she had to reshare, right, her whole routine. How do you find you're addressing some of those caregiver workforce challenges and the vision behind recruitment and well-being of the people that you work with? What are you seeing?
Being the employer of choice for a caregiver is something that we strive to be. It's tough, right? We
Mhm.
have actually an employer philosophy we call people elevating people, right?
Mm.
So it's part of our brand of elevating human spirit, but we have to start with ourselves. We have to start with our caregivers. And it's our job to take care of our caregivers if our
Mhm.
caregivers are ever going to take care of somebody else. And one of the reasons that we actually launched our brand promise and our operationalization around joy and positivity is because we know that a caregiver is way more likely to want to work with us and wanting to stay with us if that's what they're able to give to their
Mm.
clients,
Right.
right? So that sort of gives us a leg up, and by really empowering them to do so. But not only that, we know that there's caregivers want a few things. One of them is a lot of them really like that idea of working remotely or working with other people, that flexibility. But some people want more support. So being able to give the caregivers what they want, which is
Mm.
the support in the office whenever they need it,
Mm.
additional training. We
Mhm.
have a whole new program we call Positive Pathways, which is like extra training for clients with Alzheimer's, which we know that our caregivers need more because there's so many of our clients that have Alzheimer's. So giving them this extra certification, actually gives them sort of a career path, makes them feel valued, gives
Mhm.
them a little bit more of a professional edge, which is all the things that they want. So if we take care of them in those ways, support, training, making them feel valued, making sure they feel heard, and then give them that ability to provide that positivity for their clients, those are the things that we strive for.
Yes, when we're invested with an organization that sees us, can support how we see our future career, it gives us in turn the ability for us to really want to be dedicated to that. And then the people that we serve, right? It's like that cyclical, that's sort of like
Yeah, yeah.
that cyclical effect. Absolutely. And for families that are listening, that are really trying to hold it together, they might be struggling. What is a piece of encouragement that you would like them to hear today?
We have helped families like you day in and day out. We can help you. And it starts with really understanding what's going on in the home, what's happening with your senior loved one, and knowing that we can help give you peace of mind. And that because we as a company are focused on possibility and positivity, we see that. We see your struggles, we see what's going on with your mom, and we can help give her that.
Amazing. What a great message. And having this conversation with you, hearing the focus on positivity, purpose, pulling out lived experience, elevating that, seeing people for who they are, wanting to encourage that in them is how it's supposed to be. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. And for families that are looking, since you're really everywhere, where could we direct them to learn more, look into being supported by home care? Because I know that there's such a breadth of services, right, and offerings. So anywhere from probably right touch in and oversight to more health acuity needs is provided.
Yeah. And we provide the whole gamut. And I would say a great place to start is actually just if you go on our website, comfortkeepers.com, there's a few benefits to that. Number one is it has a little lookup tool. So you can look up the office anywhere across the country right there, and that'll feed to you who's nearby. But we also have an informational resource center. It's called the Info Center. And we have so many helpful articles related to how do I notice, like, how do I know when my mom needs care? What do I do if I get an Alzheimer's diagnosis, or whatever those things are? How do I handle my mom in the sun when she can't be outside and hot, but she needs to take a walk because she needs exercise, right? So all of those questions that people have, they don't know how to solve for them. That's why we have that Info Center article there. So I think it's a great place to start.
Absolutely empowers us to have information, right? Seek support. I am so grateful for your insight today, not only from your personal experience, but giving us more answers and information and wisdom on navigating home care, what we can experience when we dive into that and feeling more supported in that. I think it's such a gift to be able to come alongside families in that season of their life and be able to offer them that support and that peace of mind. It's a big relief for a lot of us that have the ability to do that. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me and letting me kind of share a little bit about us.
My pleasure. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe and give us 5 stars. In all honesty, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to our episode.